genre.
Hello and welcome back to The Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Cass Fredrickson.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
And I'm Scott Corelli.
And today on the show we'll be discussing the greatest show in the galaxy, the Seventh Doctor's 8th story.
Boy, was it.
And how.
And how. So, the greatest show in the galaxy comes to us from writer Stephen Wyatt, who previously wrote Paradise Towers, which of course we all remember as the story that introduced our favorite character and yours, Pex.
Yeah, that really tracks.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So this is his second story. Basically, he turned in his scripts for Paradise Towers, and they read them and were instantly like, hey, you should write another one, maybe something that takes place at a circus. So he did. And
he did.
Mm-hmm. So it went through a few different versions. So the initial pitch for Greatest Show in the Galaxy involved a circus infested with creatures who lived underground, but this was unfeasible because right at this point, the production team had thought of Greatest Show in the Galaxy as one of the 3-part studio-bound serials for season 25. Of course, this being the concept that to save money and time, there would be a 3-part serial that was all location shooting and a 3-part serial that was all studio shooting. And it was a way for them to like block schedule stuff and get a whole story's worth of episodes out without changing locations. So he decided to create a new version of this that focused entirely on the circus, and then he came up with the idea where spectators are cajoled into performing for a sinister family, only to inevitably fail to entertain them and suffer a terrible fate. And everyone was like, cool, and it was greenlit May 8th, 1987. Note that this did not air until January of 1989. So it took quite a while to get this going. So after this point, Greatest Show in the Galaxy evolved a little bit more. In the beginning, they didn't even know that Ace was going to be the new companion. So this was the Doctor and Mel arriving at the circus, where they were soon thrust into the ring with a punk werewolf, a creature called the Blob, the muscle-bound Nord, which was inspired by the Marvel comic superhero Thor, and an empath known as the Non-Entity. Rather than performing solo, the characters competed against each other for the family's entertainment in a series of games and challenges. Of the circus staff, it was the ringmaster who played the most overtly villainous role. The alternative circus was more high-tech and played a larger role, being occasionally glimpsed by Mel. At the adventure's climax, the circus was destroyed when the Non-Entity amplified the Doctor's rage at the needless deaths.
Tag yourself. I'm the empath called the Non-Entity.
Yeah. In later drafts, the Blob was replaced by a half-human mutant, the Whiz Kid, who then developed into a computer genius who was an expert at all of the in-ring games and referred to himself as the Galactic Games King. After his death, After his death, the character returned as a ghoulish self-parody with a robotic brain and a scoreboard body. Mel encountered a friendly animal called the Squonk, who later evolved into a clown creature referred to as a honk.
God.
There was a
Damn it.
love triangle between the ringmaster, the chief clown, and the Romanian fortune teller like box office lady, which is what I referred to her as rather than the G word, who was originally envisaged as a grandmother type. And the non-entity destroyed the circus using the werewolf's fury rather than the doctor's.
It's so interesting what carries over.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
And we'll get into it.
Yeah,
Of
so then in
course, but-
September, it was decided that The Greatest Show in the Galaxy should be expanded to 4 episodes, with the Happiness Patrol taking the place as the 3-part studio-only story. Not only did this give Wyatt greater narrative space, it also meant that he could take advantage of location filming and therefore free his script from the confines of the Big Top environment. As a result, the new first episode would now explore the planet Segonax, on which the Psychic Circus was located. Segonax being yet another planet rock quarry with one shot in a desert, which
There's a sand dune.
yeah,
Okay.
which Nick and I both commented as of it being like a nice change of pace. Like, oh wow, it's a sand dune rather than a rock
Yeah.
quarry hill.
Here's one sand dune as a treat.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. So yeah, the story as a whole would focus less on the notion of performers competing to survive, and all of this was greenlit at this point. Wyatt, now in need of additional characters. Let's see, Ben Aaron Aronovich, who wrote Remembrance of the Dog, suggested introducing an explorer along the lines of Indiana Jones. This inspired the creation of Captain Cook, which is about the farthest thing from Indiana Jones as you can muster, I think.
Like a villain, like an Indiana Jones villain.
Yeah, yeah. Whose demise was intended to provide the cliffhanger for the new first episode. However, Wyatt enjoyed the character so much that he ended up having him survive the whole time, even going so far as to initially believing he may mysteriously survive the circus's destruction in the end of episode 4. However, that did not come to pass. Also out at this point was the background of the Psychic Circus, which reflected Wyatt's disenchantment with the hippie movement of the 60s. Elements of the non-entity and honk characters were refashioned as Deadbeat and Bellboy, while Ace replaced Mel. With the change in the plot's emphasis, WizKid had become redundant in the Galactic Games King incarnation, so it was decided to remold him as a parody of the stereotypical Doctor Who fan. The werewolf character, now Captain Cook's associate Mags. Captain Cook also, I believe, being isn't Captain Cook Jesse's drug name in Breaking Bad?
Oh my God.
When he's a
Wow.
drug dealer, I think his name is Captain Cook.
Because he was a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah. For sure. Honestly, I could see Jesse getting turned and watching
Sure.
classic Who.
Like the part in his life when he would just stand like 6 inches away from a speaker at full volume just
Yeah.
to feel something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So let's see here. Okay, so all of these things were changed. They then gave the director gig to Alan Waring, who had previously been a production assistant on The Keeper of Traken and a production manager on Time Lash. But I believe this was their directorial debut here. And
It's always cool when someone moves up the ladder like that.
yeah, it's just too bad it's so close to the end of the show,
Right.
unfortunately. But still really cool. The hippie bus was literally the same prop vehicle that they used as the tour bus in Delta and the Bannerman.
Bless.
They just repainted it, but it's the exact same bus. And let's see here. What else do we have? When the circus is being destroyed, the original explosion was meant to be pretty contained in terms of like what it was. and there was an equipment problem which caused a very different, much more violent explosion. But Sylvester McCoy was not informed of this and just strutted off like a
BAMF.
just like an absolute BAMF, and didn't bat an eye, didn't blink. And it rules. And
it's metal.
But he very well may have been in a lot of danger in that shot.
Sure.
Because the explosion got out of hand, unfortunately.
I'm glad he's okay.
Yes.
And when he made the Hobbit movies, he was nowhere near anything even resembling a real explosion.
That's true. That made up for it for sure.
Safe and sound.
Let's see. What else do we have? So another bit is that they were filming this in a BBC television studio, and throughout, like around the second week of shooting, they found asbestos in the studio, and it was like spreading everywhere, and so they had to close up production, and then they didn't know how they were going to finish production. And eventually EastEnders granted them access to their parking lot. And so the rest of the episode, the rest of the story was shot in the EastEnders parking lot, which really, really upset everyone who worked at EastEnders because for 2 weeks they had nowhere to park and had to walk a lot further to set. So the whole cast and crew of EastEnders really, really hated Doctor Who during the shoot for Greatest Show in the Galaxy. That's pretty much it. It's things pretty much went the way they were supposed to, and it was all well and good after that. But
besides the explosion effect, someone should
check the explosion in the parking lot. Beyond those things, the asbestos and the explosion,
the Doctor's greatest enemy, asbestos.
Beyond those things, it all pretty much went okay. They did, because of the asbestos thing though, they did have to rearrange the release of the episodes. Originally Silver Nemesis was supposed to be, was it Silver Nemesis that was supposed to be? Yeah, I think Silver Nemesis was supposed to be the season finale, and but it also had to air on Doctor Who's Silver Anniversary, because that was the whole point of its existence. And so in Silver Nemesis, Ace has like some earrings that she got from this episode, and her rucksack is destroyed, but then she has her rucksack again in this episode, and all of that is just because the continuity got screwy, because they had to start the season later because of all the problems in the shoot for this episode.
And she mentions not having it in this one too, and it like is weird.
Yeah.
You're like, I wish I had my rucksack, and you're like, what?
Yeah. So it was a lot of weird stuff in terms of like continuity going on in this episode, because it was not meant to be the season finale. It was meant to be right before Silver Nemesis or right after Remembrance of the Daleks. So pretty early on, and then it got bumped. So there you have it. And that's pretty much it as far as background and significance of this one. But it is quite the ride, and I say we just dive right into episode 1.
The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, Part 1. Written by Stephen Wyatt. Directed by Alan Waring. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Andrew Cartmel. Air date December 14th, 1988. The Seventh Doctor and Ace are invited via futuristic junk mail to the Psychic Circus on the planet Segonax. Ace is afraid of clowns and doesn't want to go, but the Doctor insists. Meanwhile, two circus performers called Flower Child and Bellboy are on the run from the chief clown, and in an effort to get away, they split up. Flower Child goes to an abandoned bus with a robot inside. She tries to open a strange box she took from the bus, but the robot activates and kills her. When the TARDIS lands, the Doctor and Ace find a mostly deserted wasteland and stop at a food cart to ask for directions. After eating some weird fruit in an attempt to gain the cart owner's trust, they head off to the Psychic Circus, running into a rude motorcyclist named Nord, who is also on his way there. Instead of offering the two a ride, he takes off, leaving the Doctor and Ace to go on foot, where they run into an explorer named Captain Cook and his traveling companion Mags. Captain Cook invites the Doctor and Ace to tea at their campsite. Nearby, Ace and Mags find a large deactivated robot that comes to life and attacks them, but Ace manages to stop it. As the four travel to the circus, they find the abandoned bus from earlier, and Ace picks up an earring from the ground and pins it to her jacket. They're attacked by yet another robot, the same one that killed Flower Child before. The group splits up because the Doctor doesn't want to hang out with Captain Cook anymore. Captain Cook and Mags arrive at the circus before the Doctor and Ace do, just in time to see Bellboy being tortured for escaping. Mags screams but is silenced by the ringmaster, and the two are taken to a cage backstage with Nord. Outside, Ace hears the screaming and is reluctant to enter the circus tent with the Doctor. So, I didn't remember, like, hardly anything about this while watching it, for this, so it was, exciting. We'll go with that word. I like the Mad Max, like, tricycle dude that's supposedly inspired by Thor, because, like, his dumb bat helmet, like, he just appears on the landing pad and then, like, revs his engine and, like, drives off into the desert, and I'm like, oh, this is very silly.
I think it's really funny because, ironically, despite the fact that he's based on Thor, his helmet is exactly Ocean Master's mask.
Oh.
Like, exactly. So it's just really funny.
That's
But
funny.
Best of both.
he keeps Arby's he keeps an Arby's sandwich in his bike. He's that little compartment where he pulls out that Arby's sandwich.
Like a Western bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It looked like there was like gummy worms on his sandwich.
Yeah.
I thought that was bacon.
Yeah. It had that, like, bright red like barbecue quality that like barbecue at Chinese restaurants look like barbecue ribs. You know, they'll have that, like, bright red, or the pork will be that, like, bright red color. That's what it looked like. But
with respect, gentlemen, I think both of you kind of put the cart before the horse and maybe bury the lead a little bit.
Yes,
this episode opens with a rap.
Yes, it does.
Oh yeah,
it's the moment that I was waiting for, and I was like, God damn it, Nick is gonna love this so much.
Yeah. So the ringmaster, played by Rico Ross, who I guess I might as well say it now. This guy's a really interesting backstory. He's an American actor. It's like, oh, that's a really good American accent. Born in Cook County Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. Moved to the UK in the late 80s, relocated, and then got some work there, including Doctor Who and Jeeves and Wooster, but not before being cast in the 1986 movie Aliens, where he played Private Frost. He originally read for the part of Corporal Hicks.
Oh.
Didn't get it. Turned it down to get in Full Metal Jacket, so he was in Full Metal Jacket. James Cameron was so impressed with his audition that he wrote a character for Rico Ross to come back and be an alien. So he left Full Metal Jacket to go be an alien.
Wow.
that's awesome.
That's crazy.
And he's great.
He's so good in this. He's like so much more naturalistic than everyone else. And I think that the fact that he's American has a lot to do with that, because I think, you know, the thing that you always hear about British actors is like, oh, classically trained, like everybody's classically trained. And I think that when you're classically trained, you see something as Doctor Who as camp, and you're like, oh, okay, I know how to do this. And you do, like, the campy acting thing. And I don't think he saw it that way. I think he, being an American trained actor, probably saw it as like, oh, like a sci-fi show, like Star Trek or whatever.
Twilight Zone.
Right. Like they want you to be naturalistic to sell, you know, how wacky everything is. And so he's just acting on a totally different level as everybody else.
Where he seems like an in over his head entertainer.
Absolutely.
That's just desperately trying to keep his operation together.
Absolutely.
And you know, for late 80s raps in TV shows or like, you know, like Fruity Pebbles commercials or whatever, it's like minimally cringe.
Yeah.
And I think it's a large part because of Rico Ross's.
It definitely is. It's also kudos to them for actually casting a black guy in this role, because I feel like if it could have been any other day and they would have been like, yeah, we'll just cast a white guy. here and make him do an 80s rap. I mean, how many times have we seen that?
I mean, like every
and stuff?
sitcom around this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
So just right off the bat, something pretty incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, then like seconds after that, we get Nord and his like motorcycle and his like cheeseburger compartment in his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So there's a lot going on like from the jump in this.
Yep. Oh man. And then we get the lady with the fruit stand that sells the alien fruit that has like the goopy insides that you like
It's disgusting.
scoop out with your hands.
It's disgusting.
Oh, I have a question for both of you. Why was the Doctor learning tricks on the TARDIS? Like, what was he practicing?
He just does that. Seven likes tricks.
Yeah.
He likes like sleight of hand and learning how to play. He learned how to play spoons.
Mhm.
He loves the
That came up
spoons.
again today. Yeah.
So yeah, that's just his vibe. I don't know. He just likes learning how to do like weird, playful things. I think because we haven't really gotten to this aspect of the Seventh Doctor yet. This starts really next season. So the very next episode is when we start to see this aspect of the Seventh Doctor. But he is known as the Master Planner. He is like he's this guy who knows. Like he pictures the universe as a chessboard and is constantly like moving things around and manipulating people and things into a way that, he wants it to be. And so I think, all of that comes out of the fact that he just likes exercising his mind more than any of the other doctors. All of the other doctors, you come to them and it's sort of assumed that they're just really smart and they know all of this stuff. But like for some reason, there's something about Sylvester McCoy's Doctor where he wants to go beyond what he already knows and is constantly wanting to like stretch his intelligence and learn new things and figure out how to do new things. And it's something very distinctive about the Seventh Doctor that we're just now starting to see a little bit of.
Wow, I've never heard it worded like that, but that kind of reminds me. Maybe that speaks to why I enjoy Seven and Ace's like partnership so much.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, and even in this episode where they're just exploring and like walking around Planet Quarry, it's like, I don't know. I really like their dynamic. And I'm like, oh yeah, because Ace is a lot like Susan to me, where there is something very childlike about her, where she likes exploring and is just like curious. And the Doctor kind of like matches that.
Yeah.
In a way that's different from what we saw with like Six.
Yeah. Ace is definitely a little stinker, which is like one of my favorite vibes about her. Like I love Ace. Ace is top tier companion.
Yeah, no, she's great. I think we get kind of glimpses of his whole like master planner, like chessboard scheming thing in this one where he's like pushing her about like her phobia of clowns, and it's just like, oh, it's just a circus, come on, let's go. And she's just like, okay.
Yeah. I empathized with Ace so hard during this whole episode.
Yeah,
she totally nailed like, yeah,
I hate
like
clowns.
I don't want to be here. Yeah. Or also like theme park, for me, at a theme park energy where it's like, I have boundaries, and my friend's like, come on, you want to. Like, oh fuck, oh shit, now it's about me.
I think that's part of the reason why I just erased this from my memory, is because I don't like clowns, and the master clown or like whatever is like the scariest dude.
Yeah, genuinely creepy clowns.
Yeah.
The makeup is really good on the clowns. Like I like it's distinctive enough that I was really impressed by it. It does get worse each episode because I feel like whoever designed the makeup for the first episode didn't come back to work the makeup trailer in the next ones.
Well, maybe
like they let their
when they're in
assistant
like
do it
in a
or something.
parking lot or something.
Right. Like the park, EastEnders parking lot.
Yeah. Because in the first episode, it's like really thin and wispy. His like lip makeup.
Yeah.
And like the eye makeup is really like
refined,
and thin and detailed. And very asymmetrical in like a cool way that I've never seen before.
It managed to look sinister. And not like ironically sinister the way a lot of evil clowns are and stuff.
Sinister but delicate.
Yeah.
Is the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
They're just like really wispy lines.
That lead clown was also like a really good performer.
Yeah.
Of
absolutely.
Yeah.
The clown mafia.
But yeah, Fruit Lady. I also related to Fruit Lady because she was just like, ugh,
you freaks.
these circus people.
I hate all of you.
It used to be such a quiet community.
It used to be such a quiet, just me and the rocks.
Yeah.
Me in the desert.
I don't think the Doctor needed to force Ace, and I guess himself, to eat that entire...
Whatever that was.
It did not get them anywhere.
No.
Yeah, it didn't help at all.
No. And it looked revolting.
Mhm.
That's like a classic DM move of like, maybe if you eat the whole gross melon, the person will like you. It didn't.
Yeah, no.
It didn't work. It just didn't.
We meet Captain Cook and Mags.
Mhm.
And Mags, who the entire story I always think is going to turn out to be like some kind of bird person, like out of Zoobly Zoo.
Yeah.
Because she looks very bird-like up until she turns into a werewolf later.
Sure.
Because she's green, like she's got like these green feathers in her hair.
Mhm.
But it turns out she's just sort of like a radioactive werewolf. But
Yeah.
I
loved her. She gave me like the girl in the third Nightmare on Elm Street movie, like the punk character.
Mhm. Yeah.
A brief note about Mags, played by Jessica Martin.
Okay.
This is not the last time that Jessica Martin appears in Doctor Who.
Oh.
She provided the voice of Queen Elizabeth II in the 2007 adventure Voyage of the Damned.
Huh. I don't even remember when. Oh yeah, that's right. When
not leaving.
Yeah, when he pulls up pulls the stick up on the Titanic. That's right. I remember. Oh wow, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's great in this. She doesn't do a lot of talking until like part 3.
Mhm.
She's kind of like strong silent type for the first 2 parts.
They had such an uncomfortable, weird relationship.
Boy howdy.
And I guess it made sense by the end of it.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, I see all along. But like, I don't know. Like, I thought he was going to be like a rogue Time Lord at some point, because they had kind of like a dark version of a Doctor companion relationship.
Yeah.
Where like there was no respect, and like Mag seemed very much like, it's better than being alone, but like I don't like this dude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's very like Sixth Doctor and Perry.
Yeah. We're just this one old white dude just rambling on
just
about
talking.
how smart.
Yeah.
And she's just like, I can't murder him. Yeah.
Let's see. So then we meet
There's
Morgana, the Romanian psychic,
Romani.
Like the ticket taker.
Romani? It's not Romanian?
No.
Oh, okay. My bad. Romani. Romani psychic. Okay. I don't want to get into
Romania is the country. Romani is the people.
Oh. Why have I heard the phrase Romanian then?
I'm sure people have
just mistakenly said it. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So Romani, Morgana, the Romani psychic, who I'm pretty sure is the reason why the character in the next episode is not called Morgana.
Mm.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Because there is a character that is very much supposed to be Morgana Le Fay, but she's not called Morgana, and I think it's because they're like, we can't do 2 episodes in a row with
people
a
are going to
Morgana.
be confused.
Yeah, is her name like Squonk Ghana, like that little cat thing from before?
No, it's like
it's evolved into
it's like Morgana with some stank on the end of it.
Morgana.
Yeah, it's got a little extra
extra
syllable, I think, in there, if I remember correctly. But I wish she had more to do. You know, like there's a episode later on where she gets trapped with like a particular character that she's a lot of fun in those scenes. But beyond that, she doesn't really have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Because I think she's here from like that earlier draft with the love triangle that was supposed to be here.
And we did get kind of, and maybe this was just them both being good actors, but I did get a sense of history between Morgana and the Ringmaster during their scenes together.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, I could see when you said that they were a couple in a previous draft, it actually kind of like made sense to me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, can I say something about Nord?
Yeah, you can say everything you want about Nord.
So, Nord, the Vandal, would also appear in Doctor Who in the future. He appeared as Proper Dave in the two-parter Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead.
Oh.
What?
That's Proper Dave is the one that gets eaten by the Vasha Narada, right?
I think so.
Who's like a skeleton?
The first one?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. Yeah, the first guy.
The first
who
guy
goes,
to
hey,
die.
who turned out the lights?
Yeah.
I think
I
it's
think
that
that's
guy.
that guy.
I think that's
That
Dave.
was Nord.
Aw, Nord. Man.
Wow.
So like, yeah. Oh, sorry.
But can we all admit that, like, because at a certain point Nord becomes a strong man later in the episode,
Yeah.
and all I could think about was like, man, I wish they had just somehow found a way to bring Pex back.
Like he just
Because-
falls from the sky.
Yeah, just
That's where that hole led.
yeah. He finds the motorcycle, the sandwich, and the helmet, and
It makes a lot of sense when you told me that this was from the writer of Paradise Towers.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just love his imagination. He just has such a sense of, and even like in the aborted or like, you know, the ideas that didn't make it, like where the person has like a TV in his stomach.
Mhm.
He has such a playful imagination that I think really fits this era of the show.
Mhm.
I think that this era of the show is highly underrated. I think it gets scooped up in the end of the Fifth Doctor and the Sixth Doctor era a lot, of just like, yeah, this is when John Nathan Turner wanted out. This is,
Yeah.
you know,
'Cause
they
even-
were just going through the motions, you know, it was mean, and
Because the
et cetera.
Happiness Patrol is a lot of fun too.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, I think this era, like once they got rid of Eric Sayward, when Eric Sayward wasn't the script editor anymore, the meanness of the show was gone.
Yes.
And it just became fun again, and it became like what you kind of want from an 80s Doctor Who,
Mhm.
instead of whatever Eric Sayward wanted, which was like blood and gore for some reason, and crankiness, cratchetiness. So I really, really love this era. I think it's a lot of fun, and I wish it hadn't gotten canceled, but you know, that's kind of what this whole story is about, as we'll get to later in the episode.
Yes.
Is this where we get the majority of our Bellboy Flower Child
Yes.
adventures?
Yeah.
In his, like, we were trying to figure out what kind of jacket this is, because it's not quite a bellboy jacket. It's sort of reminiscent of like you said, a band leader,
Like
Nick,
like the Black Parade.
like Black Parade. You know, because my initial thought was like, oh, like a ringleader, and it's like, oh no, ringleaders have tails,
Mhm.
so it's not a ringleader. It's got to be like a band leader, or like a
It's kind of like the oh my god, why can't I think of the Beatles album?
Yeah, Sergeant
Yes.
Pepper.
Yeah, Sergeant
Sergeant
Pepper.
Pepper.
Thank you.
yeah.
You guys knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, is that
Yeah,
Yeah, is that like a band leader marching band jacket?
I guess so.
Yeah, I think so.
No
Yeah.
spoilers, but is this a different kind of circus jacket than someone wears in WandaVision?
I think it's the same. I think
Okay.
it's the same kind. This one has a little bit more of the swirlies back and forth
Mhm.
Okay.
across the opening, but I think it's relatively like the same vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of what it's doing. Yeah.
But yeah, like I dug, this was a kind of a big ensemble for a Doctor, even for a Doctor Who episode, but like
Mhm.
everyone was so memorable that even like the post office robot.
Yeah, well,
Like, I remember.
but it was like really, it was also really balanced, because like in the Eric Sayward times, like you would get a big ensemble, and he would make sure that we were focused entirely on the ensemble
Mhm.
and getting very little of the Doctor and the companion, because he was more interested in that, because I don't think he wanted to be writing Doctor Who, or at least not Colin Baker. But so here it's like you get a nice mixture of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of does remind me of like a D&D campaign where it's like there's this interesting map and world,
Mm-hmm.
but characters, you know, like the big giant robot in the sand is only going to be there when you go back to it. So
Mhm.
it's really just the Doctor and Ace like exploring this map.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the cliffhanger for this one for part
Are we going in or not?
It's-
2? Oh, that was weird.
this one has the worst
Well-
cliffhangers.
I love them because you can easily edit them all out and just watch this as a giant
Yeah.
episode. Like, so I kind of like it for that.
Yeah.
I like that he's just like, I do not respect these cliffhangers, and I will not do it.
Ace hears Mag screaming,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and the Doctor's like, I don't hear anything.
and then they mute the screaming. He's like, see, nothing, no screaming. You dummy. Oh boy. Ace is so freaked out in this.
She's a champ. I just want to talk about Ace for a second. I had forgotten that she named herself after the word that she uses for things she finds cool.
Hell yeah.
Which I
Because
just
she finds herself cool.
She has it on her jacket.
She has like a custom Ace jacket.
Yeah. Yep.
She's great. She's a legend.
Yeah. Ace is a legend. I was so excited when we got the introduction of Ace because I knew that Ace was going to be one of Nick's favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to see that that is turning out to be more and more the case as we go along.
She overcomes her fear of clowns.
I don't know that she does. I think she
she survives.
Yeah.
She survives
well, I think she overcomes it in so much as she gets the job done despite it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a form of overcoming it.
She proves
even if
her
she
point.
She still has. She still has the fear of clowns at the end of this. It's not like it goes away.
Is this the part? Is 3 the one where she gets thrown in the car, the train car, or whatever that room is with all of the robot clowns?
Yeah, I think that's like part 3. I think.
Yeah, I think that's the end of part 2.
We're still on part 2.
End of part 2, into part
3.
I think she's in there like all of part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Is this also the episode where we get the what is his
Whiz
name?
Kid?
The bellboy?
Oh,
is that his name? Bellboy? Right?
Yeah.
Bellboy is the one that with the jacket.
Yeah. Right. So is this the episode where we get where Bellboy's jacket opens and we see that he's not wearing a shirt underneath and it's like,
oh no, that's part 3 when Ace is in the
oh, that doesn't happen until part 3?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because it opens when he's getting punished and then we don't see him again.
Okay. Well, it's a good look is all
yeah.
I'm saying. Good. That happened. I was like, good for him.
Not to jump too far ahead, but like, yeah, there's a moment where Ace like finds him and he's like chained up and he's like shirt's open and she's like, I don't know how to process this.
Yeah.
The Greatest Show in the Galaxy Part 2. Written by Stephen Wyatt, directed by Alan Waring, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Andrew Cartmill. Air date December 21st, 1988. The Doctor and Ace enter the Psychic Circus only to find it is surprisingly empty. They speak with a fortune teller named Morgana at the entrance before going to find a seat, where they see the only audience members are a mother, a father, and a little girl. The ringmaster comes out and asks for volunteers for the circus's talent show. The Doctor happily agrees, and when he and Ace are taken backstage, they run into the chief clown, who recognizes Flower Child's earring on Ace's jacket. Panicked, Ace runs away and finds a room full of robot clown parts and a very beat-up bellboy. The chief clown comes looking for him and takes Bellboy away, and Ace follows stealthily behind. The Doctor is taken backstage and put in the cage with Nord, Captain Cook, and Mags. Captain Cook explains the stakes of the talent show. They need to perform in order to stay alive. Nord is tricked into performing first, and when he fails to entertain the family, he is disintegrated. After the performance, a boy wearing glasses and riding a bike named Whiz Kid arrives. He's a big fan of both the Psychic Circus and Captain Cook's adventures, and has come to participate in the talent show. The ringleader takes him backstage to wait in the cage with the others, only to find that the Doctor and Mags have escaped. Ace is captured again and is imprisoned in the room full of robot clown parts. Meanwhile, the Doctor and Mags wander around some strange stone structures next to the circus tent, and they find a deep pit with a large eye staring up at them. Before being able to investigate, Captain Cook arrives with a group of robot clowns to take the Doctor back to the ring. So we get the reveal that there's like no audience for this circus except for like this mom, dad, and this little girl. And the Doctor like tries to interact with them and it doesn't really work, and he's just like, oh well, that's weird, and then they kind of poke around. So the mom, dad, and little girl, is it supposed to be like super meta about like, because we were talking about like Trial of a Time Lord and how like we're putting the show on trial. Is this supposed to be like a microcosm of that season where it's like
100%? That's what I was getting. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it's slightly altered, I think, because the family, as we learn later, are actually the gods of Ragnarok or what have you, and the gods of
like 4 R's in there,
right?
The way Sylvester McCoy says it.
The gods of Ragnarok.
Yeah, I love how he rolls his R's every time.
They are obviously, because they're like literally canceling people, they are a stand-in for the BBC, and specifically the head of drama at BBC, who desperately wanted to cancel the show. And I think that the family are not real because they're not. They're like a patsy that the BBC is using as an excuse to cancel the show that they think sucks.
It's like they tell you, no, Britain doesn't want you. British families aren't watching you anymore.
Right.
But it's really these like cold gods that there really doesn't appear to be anything that any performer can do that actually would appease them. They're just lambs for the slaughter.
Right, because they just want to cancel the show that they hate. And the fans don't matter, as we find out with our fanboy. Like, it doesn't matter how much you love this show. It doesn't matter. Like, they just don't want it to exist. And I think that that's ultimately the metatextual message of this story, is just that, like, it really sucks to be on Doctor Who right now because no one likes us and is trying. No one is trying to protect us.
I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but like at one point the Doctor's literally just doing card tricks, and just doing whatever he can to keep these gods entertained, and he's just like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, nothing is good enough.
Part 2 is where Ace is stuck in the cart with the robot clowns, which is like my top tier phobia. I hate robots. I hate clowns. I don't like robot clowns.
And there's this moment where she's like fight or flight, and she's like, okay, and she just rips off one of their arms and hits it with it.
Hell yeah.
And it was like hell yeah, Ace.
Ace rules. Remember when she like took a baseball bat to a Dalek?
Hell yeah.
That was...
Remember in part 1 where the big robot in the sand was like attacking them? It was attacking Mags and the Doctor, and she's like, whoa, and there's like a big shovel, and she just like whacks it in the head with a shovel.
Ace rules. Ace just rules. So this is in this episode, the Doctor gets tricked into becoming a circus performer, finding himself in a cage. And
despite all of his rage.
Despite all of his rage. And Nord is there, and they throw a caveman outfit on him so he can go and be a strongman. And then they tell him that he has to do a joke. And he can't do a joke.
I like that they have the like scorecards. The family.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
It's like, Mom, shut up.
I think it's funny that him lifting that thing over his head was worth a 9.
Yeah.
I was like, really? You guys, for gods who are so hard to please, you were pretty easy to please by that.
I'm gonna say that's the only non-zero score they give anyone this whole story.
Yeah.
Don't they give the werewolf stuff in part 3? Don't they give that a 9?
Oh yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Like
what
the
else?
physical stuff.
We get our Psychic Circus fanboy, who is obviously a stand-in for Doctor Who.
Yeah, WizKid, who arrives on the portal on like what I would look to me like the Pee Wee Herman bicycle.
Yeah.
And what I thought was so interesting, if we are looking for metatextuals, the fact that he didn't, because the circus people seem to be forced into this life, into this situation.
Yep.
Where they're like, well, we didn't want to do it this way. We were just like fun hippies living out in the desert, but then it got bought by this big corporate entity. And WizKid is like, I grew up reading about you I've memorized all of your, even though it's not as good as it used to be, I still love this. And now I'm here to willingly give my body and be part of this. And everyone's like, what a putz. Like,
yeah. Which is
we don't have a choice.
Which I think is like an aspect of the new showrunner. The new script editor. Oh man, what is his name, Cass?
Andrew Cartmel.
It's the one Andrew Cartmel. I think Andrew Cartmel is that character. And he's a massive Doctor Who fan who's getting to work on Doctor Who, and he shows up and everyone is like, okay, but for real, like F this show. I'm like John Nathan Turner's trying to get out. Like, he hates it. Everyone seems to be like, they're just like trapped making a show they all hate. And he's just like, what? You're all on Doctor Who. This should be amazing. And everyone's like, it's not. It's the worst.
I read him as the that fan consultant that was working with Eric Sayward for a while that nobody likes. I don't remember his name.
Sure.
We talked about him before. And he's kind of a douchebag, but like
fan consultant.
Yeah, oh man, what is his name?
I don't remember.
That's so interesting because you hear people talk about that now, like on Twitter, where people are like, "Why isn't there like a fandom consultant?" And then someone who like is, I don't know, a writer or producer is like, "Here's all the reasons why like that wouldn't work or why that would be really hard to be a real thing."
I think is it Ian Holm? Is that his name? Ian Holmes or Ian?
No,
it's Ian something.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ian.
Because even WizKid, he's written clearly like, like I would call it like good natured.
Ian Levine.
Yeah, that guy.
Ian Levine. Yeah, he was a tool.
I would say WizKid is like he's like an annoying character quote, but like either his performance or just the writing, I was still like, oh cool, WizKid's back. Like I was happy every time he was.
That's the thing is like it's the reason I don't think he's Ian Levine is because like he's too. I think the story paints him as
earnest,
or too earnest. Yeah, earnest and likable, despite like annoying, but like in a fun, likable way. He's more annoying because everyone is like, God, this kid is so earnest about this stupid thing. He doesn't he doesn't know. He doesn't know the truth.
Get your bright optimism away from me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's more Andrew Cartmel than it is Ian Levine, just because like Ian Levine, everyone hated, and I don't know how he fits into the metatextual message that they're trying to share here, because it's not like the BBC like ate him and chewed him up.
Yeah,
the way that they did Andrew Cartmel. Poor Andrew Cartmel.
This is like Sgt. Pepper's. There's all these hidden references, and
yeah.
The walrus was Paul.
Yeah. So then they find like a cavern and there's like
a big eye at the bottom.
Yeah,
of
big
a
eye
hole.
at the of a chasm. Yeah,
it looked really cool, and it was the second. Another really good effect was the pink planet above the circus tent in every exterior. I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah. It's also, this story is also very similar to Cabin in the Woods in a lot of ways.
Sure.
In terms of like what it's trying to say about
these gods that can't be appeased.
Can't be appeased, yeah.
Because I also got vibes that, it is kind of like about, I don't know, like content of just how like it's like the cycle of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Is this where the Doctor and Mags kind of team up for a little bit?
Yeah, I always like when the Doctor has like a one-off companion in an episode where it's just like him and someone else like rolling around, and you're like, oh man, I can picture like the cool Doctor companion relationship here.
I wish that Mags had gone with, because like the Doctor rolling up with like Ace and Mags, like that's
and a
so
werewolf.
Yeah.
When I was going through notes about the actress that plays Mags also reprised her role as Mags in the Big Finish audio series.
Oh, nice.
So you both
excited to get to that. I wonder where that happens.
Huh.
I don't know which Doctor she's paired with, but
I imagine 7. I would think. But
yeah, I really like Mags' arc. I mean, again, kind of going back to, I feel like if an Eric Sayward version of the story, that character doesn't end the same way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Very true. This episode ends with Captain Cook being like, "You're up next, Doctor."
Yes.
Like, oh no.
I admire how just much of a bastard Captain Cook was.
Yeah.
Just as from a character, I admired his purity, I guess, to quote Alien.
Yeah.
He really stuck to his guns.
I agree.
No, I sold you out. Why wouldn't I?
Right?
What are you, stupid?
The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, Part 3. Written by Stephen Wyatt, directed by Alan Waring, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Andrew Cartmel. Air date December 28th, 1988. Ace and Bellboy, who was also stuck in the room again with her, talk about the Psychic Circus, about how everything changed after they came to the planet Segonax. Towards the end of the conversation, Bellboy gives Ace a remote control to one of the large-scale robots he built. The doctor, who manages to escape thanks to a distraction from Mags, runs into a man named Deadbeat, who acts as the circus's janitor. Deadbeat leads the doctor to the room where Ace and Bellboy are being held. After recognizing Deadbeat as the circus's former leader, Bellboy sends the three away and in a fit of despair orders his robot clown creations to kill him. Ace, Deadbeat, and the doctor make their way back to the pit with the scary eye. Deadbeat shows them a matching eye on a medallion he wears around his neck, only that one is missing the eyeball. The doctor and Ace realize that the missing piece might have been what Flower Child was trying to retrieve from the abandoned bus, and the doctor sends Ace and Deadbeat to go get it. In order to stall for time, the doctor returns to the circus tent. Once back at the cage, he suggests that Captain Cook, Mags, and himself all enter the ring and perform together, thus increasing their chances of survival. Captain Cook agrees, but once there, he calls for a, quote, old devil moon spotlight, and through some dubious werewolf physics, shines it on Mags. Mags starts to transform into an alien werewolf in the ring, and the episode ends.
So episode 3, we learned that Bellboy made all the robots, all the clown robots.
Mm-hmm.
That was his special job.
Yeah. So that's fun. They flip around and stuff.
He gives Ace a control device that controls the big robot that was half buried in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the episode where the whiz kid, the fanboy, shows up and starts just annoying the shit out of Morgana. Just like asking her a bunch of questions, following her around. And she's like, oh my God, please, someone take him away, please.
And then he dies.
Yep. He performed for 5 seconds. He's like, I can't believe I'm here. And then they raise their zeros because he hasn't started performing. He gets cooked.
He was also a really big fan of Captain Cook and knew all about Captain Cook's adventures.
Yeah. He just really liked everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good dude. He didn't deserve his fate.
Well, he should have
kid.
stayed in his comfy home in the suburbs.
Yeah. I guess so. Poor kid. Let's see. What else happens in part 3? There's a lot of time in that robot clown room.
Yeah. The one named Deadbeat that is like, he speaks in like half sentences because he's driven mad by something. They're just like, oh, his name was Kingpin or whatever. And like that, we get like the start of that, which is resolved in the next episode.
Right.
This one ends with the werewolf reveal, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The doctor and Mags get like pushed out onto the circus out onto the stage, I guess. Yeah. And it's revealed that.
Well, they first they make a deal with Captain Cook that it's like, hey, if we all go out there, they can't kill all of us. Like, we'll all perform together and then we'll beat the system. And Captain Cook's like, what a great idea. And then as soon as they go out there, he sells them out like instantly.
Because he knows that she's a werewolf.
Yeah. And he knows that he's like, yeah, I will win because I control a werewolf, and the doctor will die because the werewolf is a wild animal who will kill the doctor. Yeah. And et cetera, et cetera.
Big colonizer energy.
Yeah,
yes.
Big colonizer energy.
I mean, he's literally wearing like the old timey like English explorer outfit.
Yeah, like the shitty like Alan Quatermain safari.
Yeah.
No one's ever been here before.
Kingpin has the worst hair in the whole thing. He's got like a really long, almost to his butt ponytail with like a mullet.
Yeah.
All around.
Pretty special.
It is something else, man.
It's even more involved than Mags.
Yeah. Isn't what's his name? Nord had like a Padawan braid, right?
Yeah, like a little rat tail.
Yeah.
He kept on his side. So really interesting hair in this, just overall. Really interesting hair in this
If
story.
I'm not mistaken, Ace is also from the future, right?
She's from the 80s.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. She's from,
Yeah.
She's from the 80s. He met her in the future because she had somehow time traveled to like, and also to another planet. I think through like a weird Wizard of Oz thing, which is why her name is Dorothy. Like this weird Wizard of Oz thing like swept her up in a tornado kind of vibe, and
but she's
like
from
a
Earth.
sci-fi tornado. But she's from like what would be the equivalent of modern day England, in the time, the 80s, England.
She was like spray painting the side of her school.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, big, like she would definitely be dating Bart Simpson, for sure. Yeah. They turn Mags into a werewolf because they have a special light that's shaped like a crescent moon.
Yeah,
and that's all it takes.
Yeah, because
That's all
she's
it takes.
scared. She's scared of like. I think it's in the previous episode when they're exploring the like Indiana Jones cave with like the giant eye in the bottom of the hole. There's like a crescent moon light, and she's just like, "Oh, it's scary." And the doctor's like, "What are you talking about?" And then she's just like, "I don't know." And then they just use the same effect here, and I'm just like, "How do these werewolves work? These alien werewolves?"
Yeah, she's like an alien werewolf. Like it's her species.
So listeners, she doesn't become like an actor in a werewolf suit. She kind of gets like fang and eye makeup and like prosthetics put in.
She becomes more green.
Yeah, a lot
and
more
her
green,
hair
and then
gets
her arm.
bigger.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like I told Scott it reminded me of like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark.
Yeah,
where she had like quills. Her hair kind of became quills.
Yeah.
So more of like, just like a were creature than like specifically like a wolf.
And it ends with Mags singing a rendition of A Freak Like Me Needs Company.
Yeah.
Does Bell? Hey, this whole thing's about freaks.
Yeah,
he's calling them all freaks.
It would have been.
God, that would have been good.
Is Bellboy sacrificing himself? Is that this episode or part 3?
I think that was this one.
I think it's this one.
Yeah, it's this
I think
one
they leave the room at the end of this episode, and then he gets eaten by the clown robot.
He sacrifices himself, and then Ace runs off with Kingpin, nay, Butthead, whatever his fake name was.
Butthead. Deadbeat. Deadbeat.
My favorite thing about Bellboy getting eaten by the clowns or whatever it is that happens, when he does it, the clown leader is in there with him and watches him do it, and he's like pushing the button and getting them to like come to him so that they can like do whatever they're going to do to him, that he's sacrificing himself. And the clown leader is watching this happen and then just sort of ducks out of there and just sort of like rolls his eyes like, whatever, man, like it's your funeral, and just gets out of there.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't think you needed to do this, but okay, buddy. It was pretty.
It's really dramatic.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. It's also very slow.
That's the thing. Is it took
it took a long time.
The Greatest Show in the Galaxy Part 4, written by Stephen Wyatt, directed by Alan Waring, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Andrew Cartmel. Air date January 4th, 1989. The 3 audience members are entertained by Mags turning into a werewolf and attempting to attack the Doctor. Mags then turns on Captain Cook and kills him, and then transforms back into a girl. The Doctor tells her to find Ace and Deadbeat, and then prepares for his performance. Meanwhile, at the abandoned bus, Ace and Deadbeat are attacked by the robot again, but Deadbeat remembers how to switch it off. They find the missing piece of the medallion and make their way back to the circus. The family and the audience demand more entertainment. The chief clown tricks Morgana and the ringmaster into some large baskets for a disappearing act, and the 2 of them are disintegrated. Appeased, the family settles down and the chief clown sets about to recapture Ace, Mags, and Deadbeat. When the Doctor steps into the ring, the circus tent disappears, and instead of the family of 3, there are 3 stone figures in the audience. They are the Gods of Ragnarok. They feed on entertainment, and they've brought the Doctor with them to their home dimension from which there is no escape. The Doctor declares that he's not afraid of them and starts performing some sleight of hand tricks. Ace, Deadbeat, and Mags lead the chief clown to the large robot in the desert. Ace uses the remote Bellboy gave her earlier to incapacitate the clowns using the robot, and the 3 head back to find the circus deserted. They make their way through the strange stone hallways to the pit and the large eye, and the completed medallion is dropped into the pit, where it materializes in front of the Doctor. The Gods of Ragnarok try to kill the Doctor for failing to entertain them, but the Doctor deflects their attacks using the medallion, and the stone arena begins to crumble. He leaves the arena, and as he does so is transported back into the circus tent, which blows up as he's walking away from it. The Doctor and Ace then say goodbye to Deadmeat and Mags and set off on their next adventure.
This is the one where the Doctor enters the Dark Circus, which is the circus through the rocks, and he's in like a...
It's more of like a gladiator ring.
Yeah,
almost.
it's like a gladiator ring, yeah. With the Gods of Ragnarok.
These like 3 sitting stone figures with like red eyes.
Mhm.
So is this the first time we've heard tale of the Gods of Ragnarok? Because the Doctor seemed to know who they were, and so I was like, oh, are they from another story?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I think they're just here because of Nord being like, Nordic.
Vaguely Thor inspired.
Yeah, vaguely Thor,
Wow.
Ragnarok, yada yada.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty sure that's it. From now on, I'm going to call it Thor Ragnarok. Going forward, just so everyone knows they compare. Yeah, this is where we get the majority of the meta text. I think is in this episode with the god statues not having it.
Yeah. What does he do? He does like spoon tricks.
Yeah, I love the Doctor doing magic tricks, like sleight
He
of
turns a
hand
rope
stuff.
into a snake.
Yeah.
And then he turns a snake into an umbrella.
Mhm.
Pretty good.
Real like Prince of Egypt
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Scott Lang and Jimmy Woo would be very impressed I think, with all of this.
The 2 greatest magic users in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Exactly. Way more important than Wanda or
Wong,
Wong or Stephen Strange or
the ancient one.
Baron Mordo.
Sure, all of our friends, all of our favorite friends.
Yeah.
So the Doctor or Ace goes back to the love bus with Kingpin,
Yeah, she does.
and and they fight the post office robot again.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that dude. Is he is that what he is? He's like a
He's like a
mailman.
conductor.
conductor, train
Why do you
conductor.
think he was a mailman?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
Because he
tickets,
has a little
please.
cap. He has like a
That's
jaunty
right.
little cap.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this robot. It's probably my favorite robot design outside like the Daleks. Like I love this. I mean, I know the
What about
they're
Robot?
not technically robots, but Robot's good. Robot's probably third behind this guy. This guy I wish was in this more because I think he rules. I love him.
Kind of echoes of the Kerblam Man.
Yeah,
Mm.
he is. I love him. I just love the way he looks. He's just he's kind of like a 1940s robot.
Like a automaton. kinda.
Automaton, yeah.
Kingpin did jack squat to help Ace fight that
Right?
robot.
Yeah. True.
The button's under his hat. It's like,
What do you-
dude, I'm getting strangled by the robot. I can't reach
Yeah.
it. Like,
It's the button that specifically says turn the robot off, and it's
Yeah.
just like I
getting
can't
choked out.
see anything.
Yeah.
It's way above me. I'm just gonna randomly push a button and hope for the best. I'm not gonna be able to read the labels, dude.
But she did it because she's Ace.
Yeah.
mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does the Doctor get the circus to blow up? What does he do specifically? Because it rains and he has his umbrella.
Yeah.
It's like
There's like a magic medallion, which is why they
Yeah.
have to go back to the love bus because they need
Right.
like the pupil for the eye on the medallion or whatever.
Of course.
And then they chuck the medallion into the big well with the big eye, and then it just magically appears in the Doctor's hand.
Yeah, he pulls it out. I remember that. Yeah.
And then he uses it to, I don't know, blow.
Yeah.
stuff
Oh,
up.
yeah. They start shooting lasers, and he uses it to like block it out, and he's firing lasers at the eye.
Yeah.
But he's using his umbrella as like a shield.
So then
They
the
look cool.
arena
The
where the Ragnarok gods are like crumbles, and then the
pink stuff or whatever.
the circus explodes on the
pink
surface.
stuff. Yes,
It's,
the pink stuff.
It's a little rushed. I don't know. It's kind of like
yeah.
it's very muddled.
It's very MacGuffin-y which
Yeah.
is surprising considering how like kind of un-MacGuffin-y this episode feels for 90% of it. And then in the last 10%, they're like, it's also there's a MacGuffin.
Yeah. I was really surprised at how little Morgana and the Ringmaster ended up having a part to play. You know what I mean?
I agree completely.
Yeah, because they die in like, is it this one or part 3?
They don't even die. The clowns like shove them into like wicker baskets, and then they like open them up and they're gone.
Oh yeah, they get disintegrated or whatever.
Yeah, is that what happened every time? Did they just always just put like WizKid and Nord into like wicker baskets and then just turn them into dust?
No,
I think they got lasered.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
they done got lasered.
We get the crazy, not supposed to be that crazy explosion effect, right?
Mhm.
Doctor strutting away. It's like I feel like that moment is sort of like the epitome of like the Seventh Doctor, like in GIF form.
Yes.
That's like the thing that everyone uses. And it rules. But this is the last, I would say, fun episode. I think like Battlefield is like, no, fun, specifically fun. I don't think the other ones are fun.
Dude, Battlefield is so good and it's so fun.
Yeah, I don't think it's fun. I think it's really good. I don't think it's fun, and I don't think Ghost of whatever the Ghost one, Ghostlight. I don't think that one's fun.
Yeah, that one's not fun.
And I don't think Curse of Fenric is fun.
No, that one's not fun either.
And Survival isn't very good.
Good.
Well,
they're like interesting, but they're not like playful.
Right.
Okay.
I don't find Battlefield to be particularly playful. I just think it's
Battlefield's like
really
my favorite
good.
Seventh Doctor story.
I love it. I'm not saying that it's bad. I think it's a great episode, but it's not. I think this era of like fun Seventh Doctor like romps is over with this episode. I think this is the last of that. And I'll miss it. I'll be honest. I really love this. We get a lot more of it in the Big Finish era. They find a really cool way to like balance his stories out between like fun romps and the more serious master planner type of stories. But I am gonna miss this in live action.
It's a romp, but it also, for a Doctor Who story, feels like very little of it is wasted time.
Yeah.
There's one part where the Doctor's doing magic tricks and they're like, "Quit padding out the story, Doctor. Get to the point." And I'm like, "This is great."
Yeah. It's really good. So like overall, I love Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I think it's my favorite of the kind of like goofy fun episodes of Seventh Doctor. Just because it's like so bananas. It's either this or Paradise Towers.
I think I like Paradise Towers more. I don't know. Yeah.
I remember really liking the aesthetic and like world of Happy Time Patrol.
Oh, sure.
Happiness Patrol.
Happiness Patrol.
It looked like a giant like MTV video.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I really like this era. Delta and the Bannermen, a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
This era is really good. I really love it a lot.
And it's so interesting. Like, I'll admit, I don't immediately think of Seven as like my go-to favorite Doctor, but then whenever I go back to one of these stories, I'm like immediately engaged by him and the stories that he's in.
Yeah. This era in particular, I think, is the most. I feel like this is where Russell T Davies like picks up the baton from. Is like this period, that like specifically Ace and like this season of like, you know, Delta and the Bannermen and Happiness Patrol and Greatest Show in the Galaxy. All of these feel like Russell T Davies stories.
Yeah, and Eccleston and McCoy kind of have like a similar energy. Like they're very like outgoing and playful on like the surface, but then there's like this like dark undercurrent that's going on, and
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like the idea of the Doctor manipulating people is something that is always so interesting, where like, he's this character that can be so empathetic and warm, but then also it's like, why is he being so mean to me? Oh, it was for a calculated reason that he wanted me to react to certain, and like, I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of interesting going like watching the show the way we have been, because it's like the Doctor going up against like these gods happens like 3 times in this round.
Right.
Total.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, there were a couple other moments where like it reminded me of other parts of the show's history, but I can't think of them now.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Definitely, like for listeners of the show, I would say this is one that I think people would have a lot of fun watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
On BritBox
and all the raps. There's at least one rap per episode, sometimes more than one.
Mm-hmm. He's not exaggerating.
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating. You might think that I am, but I am not. There are a lot of 80s raps in this. But this is one I don't hear talked about a lot, and it's unfortunate because I think it is really, really good. And definitely like very watchable if you're like familiar with the Russell T Davies era. Like you could probably sink into this one pretty easily and be like, oh, okay. I think it's accessible in that way. Whereas like, First Doctor can be,
very dry.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's Greatest Show in the Galaxy. So next week we'll be talking about an 8th Doctor Big Finish story called Seasons of Fear. This one is co-written by Paul Cornell, so that's exciting.
Okay. Optimistic.
Yeah. Co-written by Paul Cornell and a female author.
What's so crazy about is like these have mostly been fun to decent, but then there's one that just hurt us so bad.
Yeah.
That we're like forever skeptical.
Yeah. It's true. So hopefully Seasons of Fear is good. I have no memory of it. I know I've heard it before, but I have no memory of it. And we'll have to find out along with you guys next week when we talk about Seasons of Fear. Is this one of the ones that's on Spotify? Because I know a bunch of the Big Finish stuff is on Spotify.
Oh.
I think Seasons of Fear might be one of those.
I'll find out.
Yeah. I'm gonna check right now just to make sure because I would like to know.
It is.
Nice. So you guys, everybody, if you have Spotify, you can listen to this one, along with us. So that's fun. Yep, there it is. Seasons of Fear. And yeah,
nice.
So
look at all that.
Check that out. All right. Thanks so much for listening. As always, everyone, check out our Patreon, duelinggenre.com/support, and our TeePublic store, duelinggenre.com/merch. And we'll talk to you guys next week with the 8th Doctor and Seasons of Fear. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. The Greatest Show's family.
Now, welcome, folks. I'm sure you'd like to know we're at the start of one big circus show. There are acts that are cool and acts that amaze. Some acts scary, some acts for days. Acts of all kind, and you can count on that. From folks that fly to disappearing acts. There are lots of surprises for the family at the greatest show in the galaxy. So many strange surprises, I'm prepared to bet whatever you've seen before. You ain't seen nothing yet.